Hi, good afternoon everyone. I'd like to welcome you all for this second webinar on the European Road Safety Charter, focusing on driver training programs and specifically on the ways to improve them and to optimize them to our driving conditions, no matter if it's a general training or trainings dedicated to professionals or work-related perspective. So just to remind the audience, our online followers, that you will have the opportunity to comment and to ask some questions to the different speakers. These questions will appear on your screen. For the first one, for instance, we will ask you who you are in order to identify with the audience if you are a fleet manager, human resources manager, a driving instructor, for instance, or any other area that you cover. So it's quite important. So before I pass the floor to and introduce our different speakers that are quite different from institutional levels to public and private organization, just to say a few words about the organization that I'm representing here today, the European Transport Safety Council. The European Transport Safety Council is a non-profit making organization, an international NGO that has almost 20 years of experience in helping reducing the number of crashes and road fatalities in Europe. We indeed represent over 48 national bodies and organizations investigating in road safety. So basically we analyze, we investigate in road safety, and we translate that into policy recommendations, measures and actions for the EU institutions, but also for national governments. As you may know, last Sunday we celebrated the World Day of Remembrance of Traffic Victims. And it is, well, driving training is indeed a key area where we can improve our driving skills. According to various elements, the road infrastructure, especially because we need to observe, to anticipate the situations according to the infrastructure and our speed. To introduce this topic, I'd like to welcome Maria Teresa Sanz, Project and Policy Officer from the Direction General of Mobility and Transport from the European Commission, who initiated also the European Road Safety Charter. So, Maria Teresa, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello to everyone. I think most of you have already participated on the previous webinar. So, for those who have already participated, you know how it was. For the others, you know that you could ask any question at any moment, and we are going to try to answer as best as we can. So, let me introduce this session saying that we thought that the European Road Safety Charter is very, very great initiative, and we think there is a lot of possibilities to use the Charter mainly on the field of the training and education. So, as you know, as the Commission representative, the Commission is mainly deal with political action and measures. But we really think that with this, only with political legislation, we cannot achieve what we wanted to have, to have a safer roads. And in that sense, we thought the participation of all the society, all the companies, all the intervenients is crucial to try to improve road safety. In that sense, all the initiatives of the Road Safety Charter are very welcome, and in respect with the training and education, the Commission has been working very hard in the past, trying to have for the driving license mainly for professional drivers. And we wanted to try to have this much more complete, trying to promote a wider approach. And we wanted to have a lifelong term educational training, so starting from the beginning, from the child at the school, continue with the driving licenses, and after to have the driving license, all the process. Because everything cannot be done from an institutional point of view. We have that is very, very relevant, that the other organization can have an important role trying to promote the education, trying to promote the training. and also doing some campaigns, awareness campaigns, or any other initiative that could help to improve safety. Saying that, I wanted to say also that some measures that at the political level could be taken have a direct impact on road safety. For example, when you put radar controls on the roads, you have more or less an immediate effect on the reduction of the number of accidents and fatalities. But when you want to start doing training and education, it's something that you are going to result in a more long term. So really it's important to have at the beginning of their life, at the school, in preschool, and in all the period, try to continue with this process. And also to try to maintain when people are less fit, and when people have to renew the capacities, due mainly to the new technologies, and also because the infrastructure are changing, the vehicles are changing, and it's necessary to continue to be able to drive in different circumstances. So, after my introduction, I pass the floor to the other participants that could explain what are doing practically on the field of training and education.
Thank you, Maria Teresa. Before I introduce our speakers now, just to let you know that most of the people that are following us today are driving instructors and other related professionals dealing with road safety. Today we will have 3 interventions with very different speakers. We will start with Mr. Juha Kulmala from the Finnish Transport Safety Agency, which is a public body regulating all transport safety matters. He's been an expert on training, especially on the areas of beginners, but also motorcyclists. His presentation will mention and detail more about how to optimize driver trainings for road users. So Juha, the floor is yours.
And processing data and developing these courses and making changes by processing. That's what we do. And feedback is very important from the instructor and the action itself when you have practiced something and have trainings to get feedback from them. And self-assessment within the course, and mostly important after the course. So how do I drive? How do I cope in traffic? So should I train and learn more, or is this enough? Somehow this thought that something is enough is a little bit dangerous, because I think you can't learn more if you think so. And the most important things in the course, you should get behind behavior. What are the goals for driving, for life, for everything? Something and many things come through that. And it's very independent work, so the instructor can make a course, but everyone that takes part in the course makes the real change. And always we are in a social environment, so there are a lot of others, and we have to do things with them and them to account. So this needs a lot of social skills, social abilities, and of course we have to think that also take some simple things. People may think that they are simple, but first start with them, and then go to more complex things. And own personal style of driving, is it good or bad, or something between them? Should we develop something in your personal style? So first of all, recognizing needs, different learning styles of people that take part in the course. Goals, structure in the course as some kind of goal. Is it the same, or is there some other goals of learners? So it's very important to discuss all these in the beginning. And as you can see in big letters, values is everything. So we have to discuss a lot of them. So earlier experiences are good when you link new things to your earlier experiences, but it can also be a challenge, like when we think about new technologies within cars, anti-locking brakes, traction controls, and stability controls, for an example. So we have a way of doing, and then we have to change it. It's not so easy, especially here when we think of things here in Finland. In winter time, it's very dark, very slippery, and these new technologies, maybe to get the best use of these, we need training. Good ways of working are group discussions, always making questions, comments, and learning from each other. We do some follow-ups. So, was there a change after a course? Should we change the course, or are there good things that we can remain and then get to the right position? And when we talk about feedback, positive is very important, and always when you have to give negative feedback, so we have to be careful that it is very constructive, so to get use of it. And again, self-evaluations. If I learn something, should I develop something? Self-confidence to a certain level is a good thing, but when we train something, always a training, in my opinion, should last so that learner makes a fail in some test or some task. So not think that I'm good enough, so I have to train more, and I'm training. And all this done in groups. In groups there are much power, so to learn from each other. Okay, thanks a lot for this.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Johan, for this very comprehensive presentation. Just to let you know that the results of the second question that we asked about what are the key elements that form an effective driving training program. So according to your responses, improving or regular follow-up of measures are the most attributed answer. It is quite an obvious answer, as the absence of illness doesn't mean that someone is able to drive or is fit to drive. This is also very important for us in order to focus notably towards decision makers on how to improve driving trainings. Also, there is a quite number of countries that have included medical checks in order to revise a bit the knowledge, but also medical physical checks for the people. So now I'm passing the floor to Tracy Scar from Arval, the Arval Group in the United Kingdom. She's a corporate social responsibility and fleet manager in a company. And I know that Arval has created a corporate vehicle observatory, so they will be able to give some details also about that. So Stacey, the floor is yours.
Hi everybody, welcome everyone, and I've been told that if I talk too long, then they're going to tell me to get off very quickly, so I'll try not to speak for too long, but welcome. Thank you, Elias. As Elias explained, my role is as Corporate Social Responsibility and Fleet Manager at Arval, and we, for those of you that don't know, we are a large international leasing group, and we operate out of over 25 countries across the world. So we have nearly 700,000 vehicles that are leased worldwide, and clearly we take our responsibility for road safety very seriously. That's why this year our group decided to sign the European Road Safety Charter, and every country, nearly every country in Arval now has signed the charter. So we're really delighted with this initiative and fully support everything the charter stands for. Just a little bit about Arval Group. We recognise road safety is very important, and this forms part of our corporate social responsibility commitment. As you can see from this slide, we have 4 domains in our corporate social responsibility commitment. I'm delighted that safe mobility is one of those, alongside the environment, economic and social. So really this just demonstrates that CSR and road safety is truly at the heart of our business. One of the examples of this is a really exciting initiative this year in Arval Poland that I wanted to share with you briefly. Arval Poland recognised that the road deaths and fatalities in Poland are increasing and very severe, and that Arval could do something about that. So we introduced a driving academy early this year. Fantastic initiative for our customers, providing a range of theoretical and practical courses, really looking at improving the knowledge of the drivers in Poland, and working together with our customers to develop some real great sustainable safety programs. So I'm really delighted with that program, and hope to be able to share more about that in the future. Just moving on a little bit to what I do in the UK. One of the things in the UK we've done this year is introduce some keys to success for our staff, and one of those has been acting responsibly. And as you can see from this slide, safety is part of our acting responsibly focus, and that's alongside environmental issues such as ISO 14001, our charity work, and working with the marketplace and other partners and professionals in the industry. So again, safety is at the very heart of what we do as Arval Group. Back to my day job as a fleet manager. One of the things I'm going to talk about is how do you develop a sustainable safety program in your business. And I think one of the things that I wanted to mention is building your business case is really important. We need to address our duty of care as fleet managers and as corporate businesses, and we need to consider the financial implications and the cost savings that can be made by investing in road safety, alongside the legal obligation that we have to do that. Most importantly for me is the moral obligation. We have a duty of care to look after people each and every time that they drive for business. So that's what I'm going to talk about now for a few moments. The very first point here you can see is something that I believe every company should have that has a fleet, which is a safety committee. That committee cannot exist if you don't have key stakeholder commitment, so somebody at the very top of your organisation that is committed to road safety. And it can be cross-functional, so you could have people from your HR, your finance, your legal, and also external engagement, people like insurance companies, telematics providers, people that you can work with outside of the industry, and bring together a group of people that are going to focus on your safety programme. Clearly a key element is going to be the policy that you have. So you need to have a very clear safety policy and handbook with responsibilities for all levels within your organisation. So what the stakeholders' commitment will be, what the line manager's commitment will be, but also what the driver's responsibility is. Another part of that programme has to be the risk management steps that you take. Now, in the UK and in all countries, checking driving licences are incredibly important. So doing that in the best possible way is something that I recognise and recommend every company should do. To complement that, you can look at risk assessing your drivers, the vehicles and the journeys that they make. So this is another important part of your programme. And this is where driver training comes in, because if you then recognise that certain people need driver training, you may need to do on-road training, workshop, or possibly e-learning online. And I've used all of those across a range of a number of years, and I believe that they all have a place in helping to improve road safety in your fleet. Something I think is really important for drivers to understand is that if they do have an incident or a crash, that there needs to be a discussion that takes place. So someone in your organisation should have responsibility for talking to the drivers and understanding how did that happen, are they okay, and what learning experience can we take from that. And obviously their health and their safety is the most important part of that conversation. But sometimes drivers do silly things and we need to understand why they do them. And sometimes they do them often. So I think it's a really important part of the process to share with drivers how much things cost. What does it cost to repair a vehicle in a collision, and is that something that has a direct implication on your company's bottom line? So I do think it's something you should share with your drivers. Knowing your performance as a fleet is very, very important. You need to set your baseline. You need to understand your costs, how many incidents you have, what your trend is, who are your repeat offenders, and have a programme to improve that. So set some indicators and have some analysis and goals so that you as a business can have realistic improvements, and measure them, measure them ongoing. So over the years you can see how things improve, where things may change, and other interventions that you might need to introduce. So I guess all of that together puts a really comprehensive road safety campaign in place. And at Arval in the UK, the programme that I've developed is called Drive for Life. So every communication and everything that we send out to drivers goes out under that name. A really important question I want you all to think about is this: do we only care about people when they drive for business? Because for me, I think if you want to create a strong safety culture in your organisation, then you should engage and educate everybody. Now clearly you may need to do your drivers and your company professional drivers first, but actually everybody that works for you should be part of your safety culture, and you should share your safety messages with them. And I think this has been a massive key to success within Arval. When I run workshops and talk to drivers, the thing that I try to help them with is to understand what's in it for them. So if we are asking them to engage in a safety programme, it isn't just because the company wants to spend less on repairing cars, it's because we want to look after people. And they should want to look after themselves too. So we can talk to them about things that are very real, things that involve their driving licences. If you lose your licence as a result of driving badly, what does that mean to you and your family? And those are real questions. You can talk about those in a workshop environment. How much does it cost these days to repair a vehicle, to gain insurance? It's a lot of money and it's tough times. So right now people are looking to save money. Driving economically saves money on fuel. So there's a very good reason to talk about the financial impact to them. And then there's some more of the very heartfelt, serious things like surviving or not surviving a crash. What does that mean to somebody and to somebody's family? And even worse, if you are one that causes a serious crash and you face jail or imprisonment, again, what does that mean to you, your family and the rest of your life? So I think if you engage drivers in those conversations, they realise it's not just about driving for work, it's a life skill for them, for their families and for their loved ones. This is an example of just one of the things that we've done in the UK, taking a subject, a very simple one like seatbelts, and promoting it. We know seatbelts save lives, but still people don't wear them across the world. So if we did small campaigns, frequent and often, showing some videos, explaining, having conversations, we can try to change culture and to improve driver behaviour. It takes 2 seconds to put a seatbelt on and it can save many, many lives. So this is just one example of something that I would promote with our drivers and with our employees. Another one is one that's really close to my heart, which is phones. Everybody, everywhere these days, has a phone. We believe we can't survive without them, and that extends to when we're on the road. And I firmly believe we can. So the questions that I ask people is, is it really worth the risk? Can we survive without making a phone call when we drive? And we ask people not to use their phones whilst they drive. Even if their company has a program that says they can, I'm still asking them not to, because I want to present the consequences and the risks that they face if they do that. So these are very real, open and honest conversations you need to have with people to promote safety, because our children and everybody who's growing up around us realise that phone is part of society now and we can't cope without it, and we can whilst we drive. So this is a subject I'd really like people to face with their staff. One of the ways we do that in the UK, I try lots of different initiatives, but this is just one example of my newsletter this month. In the UK right now it is National Road Safety Week, part of the road safety charity Break, who I'm huge ambassadors of. So for me, I'm promoting road safety heavily with our staff this week, and this is just one example of our newsletter that has been made available to all of our employees, not just those who drive on business. And then there are some other initiatives, and some of them are quite far out there, and hopefully that you can do something in your country. But a number of years ago, I worked with the emergency services, and we did a crash reenactment. So the little picture in the left-hand corner of a gruesome body on the bonnet of a car is not real, so don't be alarmed. It was a very encourageable college student who wanted to dress up like this. But we filmed a car crash, not real of course. We worked with the emergency services, and we told a story about somebody using their phone, a rear passenger not wearing a seatbelt, a cyclist not wearing a helmet, and we talked about the consequences of all of those things, and we made it into a film, and we now share that with schools all over the country. So that is something you could do with your organisation and work locally with emergency services. A very powerful thing to do. Other things that we've done include installing a tyre compressor to promote tyre safety. Tyre pressures, if they are incorrectly inflated on your vehicle, you will not be as safe as you can be on the road. So raising awareness of tyres is very important, and we worked with Michelin on that. And then the bottom left-hand corner is a picture of some students who won a competition with us in a road safety quiz and became a firefighter for a day. So again, it's a way of involving the community and working with your emergency services. And lastly, Drive IQ is just a great young driver e-learning software in the UK. I would encourage anybody with youngsters in your family who are learning to drive to take a look. It's life-saving, and it makes them better young drivers. So these are all things that we share with our staff to encourage them to think about safety. I guess that's me done, so I'll just close by just summarising really some of the really important things, the things I've said today. For me, remember that we share the roads so therefore we share the responsibility. And in a corporate business, I firmly believe that by engaging everybody, you will develop a safety culture more effectively than if you don't. One of the things I firmly believe as well is we need to learn from others. As Ilyas has said earlier, sharing what we do is really important, hence what we're doing today is exactly that. The best thing about safety is that it is not competitive, so we can learn from each other and all become as good as we possibly can. Continuously measure your performance is really important. In the UK, we've been doing road safety in our business for 6 years, and there's still things that I can do as a fleet manager to be better. So it's sustainable, and you cannot stop doing it once you've started. And one firm message I believe that we could all do today is, if we do something different, then we can make a difference. So thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Well, thank you very much for this very good presentation. I'd like just to summarize a bit the results from the question, what should an organization look at when choosing a road safety training program? So apparently, most of you think that we should really focus on the time and human resources, but also on previous effectiveness and in particular some recommendations. So basically what does that mean? So it means that we need to implement good practices from what we know, what works already. So the idea is really to implement in other organization what worked somewhere else. And I think that this is very important. I'd like to quote two things. A few weeks ago, a new norm, an ISO norm 13901 on road safety management has been published. So it affects and it touches all type of organization, private and public. So you can go there and have a look and see what can be applicable to your organization when it comes to road safety management. And second thing, I'm really happy to see the results of this question, because that's exactly what the European Road Safety Charter has been doing since its beginning. So building a network of committed organizations and sharing all the good practices and the commitments across Europe. So this is exactly what we do, and I engage you to have a look at the website of the Charter, but also from DG Move, where a number of road safety projects and guidance have been developed over the last few years. So now I'd like to pass the floor to our last speaker, Will Murray, who is a research director at Interactive Driving Systems in the UK. So the idea is to see what kind of challenges, questions are raised whenever we develop and set up a road safety training program, especially with the new topics that are distracted driving, mobile phones, etc., etc. So Will, the floor is yours.
Also. Yeah, so as Ilyas said, I work for Interactive Driving Systems, and if you look at the global map on the screen in front of you, you can see the kind of locations around the world where they operate. So where we have clients or partners, or where we do research or have programs in place. And what I want to do for the next 10 minutes or so is just share the results with you of 2 or 3 pieces of research that we've been working on in relation to driver training. So, in terms of content, I want to just have a little bit of a debate, and if we had a lot of time, we could have a detailed discussion, but hopefully the technology will allow us at least to get a feel for people's thoughts on this issue at the moment. I want to talk about the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health and their research. I want to talk about the Napier University in Edinburgh research. I want to focus a little bit on the systems-based approach, following on from what particularly Tracy talked about. And I want to share with you some evaluation results. I've got a few recommendations really, and also just from a research perspective, I'd like to encourage you to all to go away and do some reading. So I've just added some references to the presentation where you can go and read the detail of the research. So, I would like to ask a question, and I think the technology will allow us to answer this question. So, if in relation to work-related travel, would you say that drivers are the main cause of work-related collisions, or would you say that managers are the main cause of work-related road collisions?
Yes. Can you say to me another question?
I'm not sure if there's a chance for you to vote or make a judgment on that issue, but hopefully you are, and
You want me to say that the question is
you may get some results from that.
it has been asked and the results. Sorry, just a second. I'd like to ask the audience that a question is online, so if they want to take part and see in their opinion what are the main causes of work-related collisions, if it's mainly due to fleet managers or drivers or both. So please, you can choose from the screen the different responses. Thank you. Okay.
They have already chosen.
So that was not this question that you...
They have already answered. The people have already
Okay,
answered.
sorry, you have to show the results.
Yeah, I will show you the results now. Okay.
I see the results already.
Yeah, so you can.
No, but put it
Okay.
from.
Okay, these are the results. C.
And see what it is.
Yeah. If you see, is both.
Yeah, yeah. He's done with his first.
Okay, so I assume A is driver, B is managers, and C is a combination of both.
Yeah.
Which is probably about what I expect, which leads in very nicely to the research from NIOSH. So let me just move to the next slide. So NIOSH is a US government agency called the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. And the full reference to the research is at the end of the presentation. But essentially, NIOSH funded the Global Road Safety for Workers project. It's culminated in a conference and a research report, which was in 2009. And I just want to share some of the results about driver training in the work-related context, because there were some very interesting outcomes. In the beginning, or at the beginning, I have to say, and maybe this won't be popular with an audience that includes driver training, there's a big debate between researchers and the behind-the-wheel driver training sector about whether driver training is any good or not. So typically, the research suggests that driver education doesn't have that much truth behind it. Whereas the driver training industry thinks that driver training has some great research results. So there's an interesting debate there. Which again, if we had more time, we could actually discuss some of those issues. But essentially, in terms of the academic research, still to date there is not very much academic research to support the benefits of driver training education. Now, I'm not saying don't do driver training education, but I am saying that to date the academic research isn't very conclusive. What the research does say is that the behavioural training should focus on particular risks focus on organisations rather than just taking the broad brush approach. So instead of just having a standard driver training program, you need to understand what the risks are initially through claims analysis or observation or telemetry or through license check results or fines data, etc., and use that to target the training most appropriately at what the risks are. It's also true that typically drivers have the least control over the business factors. So what I mean by that, someone recruits them in the first place, someone tells them what to do, someone specifies the vehicle they drive, someone decides on the journey they make, someone decides how the driver is trained. Someone decides whether you do the work yourself or use a contractor or a subcontractor. So what that means is, quite often the driver is the least important person and the person with the least power in the process. Which means that quite often the driver's decisions are to some extent forced on them. Now I'm not saying that drivers don't have responsibility, because of course they do, but what that means is that we need to look at the whole system in which people are using the road, and particularly in the work context, as well as just people's driving abilities and skills and so on. And what that means is that typically a lot of the behind-the-wheel training specialists who focus on work-related driving, they're tending to shift the emphasis and move their program slightly to focus much more widely into training. So to look at reviews, to look at risk assessment, the safety mission, to look at fleet policy, to look at handbooks and guides, and also, importantly, to focus on legal training. So in the work context, it is as important, if not more important, to train and engage managers and leaders as it is to train and engage drivers. So this discussion needs to go, in a work context, needs to go beyond just drivers and driving, and look at organisational practices and organisational leadership, and the training of managers, work allocating and supervising particularly. That is reflected in many ways in the latest developments in terms of the GDE matrix, or the goals for driver education matrix. And we could spend a lot of time just focusing on the matrix itself. But what I want to do is make an assumption that as a driver training community, pretty much most of us are aware of the GDE matrix and what it does and how it works. And essentially, it has a set of levels and dimensions which focus from basic skills basic skills through to higher level attitudes and behaviours and so on, and then looks again from basic knowledge through identifying risk factors and then through the self-evaluation. The reason for showing it here in relation to work-related job training and job safety is that in the last year or so, a new fifth level has been added to the GDE matrix, which focuses on company or organisational awareness, which really emphasises what I've just been presenting, but it is much more than just about training drivers. We also need to think about this from an organisational and a leadership context. And just to finish off around the financing and now research, I'd really like to draw your attention to the document that was produced by ELSC's organisation. So the ERSC praised the Mathematics Report 2 is excellent in its coverage of driver risk assessment and training in a work context. It's linked to later presentation, but I just would like to say that it focuses on the GDE matrix, focuses on another matrix called the habit matrix, which allows to develop a holistic program in this area, and it also focuses a lot of attention on trainer selection and management. So that's really everything with buying training services. Now that's important for the buyers, but for the trainers themselves, it's also important because it gives an idea of the type of questions that an organisation buying training services should be asking, and will allow you to develop answers to those kinds of questions. So that's the large research. And now I'll talk for maybe a couple of minutes and then we'll pull it together about some further research that's been done at Edinburgh University in Scotland. For the moment, I'm still part of the UK. Maybe not in the future, but for the moment, there's a great university in Edinburgh. They focus on training outcomes data from one of the UK's largest groups. And it's a sort of two-strike because this particular organisation uses driver training as an indication for anyone who has two
He cannot hear us now.
collisions.
He doesn't look at his driver.
Two
I tried it before.
two backwards collisions, or reversing collisions, reversing pain. If they have forward facing collisions, if you
One for each
forward
speaker.
facing driving,
If
this utilisation here,
you want to,
You
the
can
only way to
really
stop
see
him is by interrupting
that
him.
before the training, the collision rates were increasing. After the training, the collision rates decreased, and generally, for the next 2 or 3 years, the rate stayed low. There is a story behind that though, because if you look here, the benefits of the training actually started before the training. So what that means is as soon as the line manager of the driver and the driver were informed of the need for training, their performance started to improve. So clearly there's something going on here in terms of some kind of placebo effect or some kind of focusing on the issue. If you look at the data in more detail as well, essentially, for all employees are involved in 0.3 claims per year on average. If we've never been trained, it was less 0.25. The impact of the training has clearly made a difference. So from 0.3 or 3.5 collisions before, 1.5 after. Very good action, very positive. However, and this is important in the leadership and management context, the claim they did improve the training skills, but even after the training, the people who were trained were still 5 times more likely to be involved in collisions than the people who never needed training in the first place. So in summary, yes, training is important, yes, training is not just drivers, drivers. But at the same time, if you don't need to train in the first place, I wish to announce what other people do. Which leads into the importance of driver recruitment, driver assessment, driver engagement, driver orientation, etc. So that's the nature of it. Just for the last minute or so of the presentation, all of the research now is leading us towards taking a systems-based approach to road safety, and particularly in the road-related safety context. And I'm particularly thinking about managing our own fleet and own drivers, managing the contractors, managing the subcontractors, and as Tracy alluded to in the previous presentation, looking at the organisational culture, which she has been a real expert at, focusing on management and leadership, focusing on drivers, making sure that the vehicles are the right ones for the job, focusing on the journeys we need to make, and clearly the best thing to do in the safety is to not travel or use the train or get the bus rather than drive. So we can do a lot in terms of journeys, and even by having this WebEx while we're travelling, clearly from a road safety point of view, that's good because we're not exposed to the risk. And again, in terms of community, Tracy from our lab has been a real expert and leader in showing the benefits of engaging the community road safety. I've already mentioned ERSC trade reports, and I'll move on. Does this work? This is some data from one of the UK's best and world's managers. You can see here the data for 2001, 59 claims per 1,000 vehicles. Down to 2011, or 2010-11, 30, now to 2011-12, down to 27. Significant cost savings per annum. So in other words, having an effective risk management program can make a significant difference to an organisation. Now, BT is a massive organisation, but there are other cases of smaller organisations with similar performance levels in terms of improvement. So definitely focusing on working with road safety in a holistic way can have significant benefits for road safety and for the business in general. So some recommendations. Driver improvement should just be one element of this wider program. Management, leadership, engagement, systems-based approach to consultants, added research, data and evaluation. I'd encourage you to look at the Food Safety Benchmarking Project. It's freely available and is very good. And finally, as promised, here are some references to look at. And hopefully when the papers from the discussion are circulated, you can, if anything from the presentation is of interest, you can find the details in the papers. And finally, as a last word, if you do nothing else as a result of this session today, I would encourage you to find and read the ETS2 Praise 392.3, which is excellent to this stage. And that would be a good time to thank you for listening and look stuff.
All right, thank you very much. We'll just do, well, thank you very much for this excellent presentation. Just to complete your answer about PRAISE, the PRAISE project is a European Commission funded project developed over the last 3 years. One thematic report is called From Risk Assessment to Training and is exactly on our theme today. Talking about this project, we have 9 other thematic reports touching vehicle safety, managing speed, training, distraction, etc., etc. And each of these thematic reports is illustrated with good practices in companies. So it's not only investigations, it's also good practices in companies, and you can download all the different reports on our website, ptsc.eu. We have now just a few moments for question and answers with our different speakers. We will start with Will. So just a second to check the questions.
I will. The first question was directed towards you, and it was: are there any published results of trials based on the GD matrix?
Answer is, without having a look, I don't know. But what I could do is have a look for you and find out, and maybe circulate the results to participants. So that's not the best immediate answer, but in the short term, that's probably the best that I can offer.
Okay, thank you for that. And the next question is for Tracy, and it was related to her presentation. Is there a system which can objectively assess a driver's risk, and can it be used for novice drivers as well?
Hi, yeah, that's a great question. There are many road safety risk companies all over the world, actually, one of which is Wheels Interactive Driving Systems. Their risk assessment programs, which are online, are very comprehensive risk tools that look at different elements of both the driver, their specific profile, so things like where do they drive, their age, their driving license history, the time of day that they drive, the roads that they use, combined with things like questions about their knowledge of the roads and the legislation for their countries, as well as hazard perception and skill tests. So these risk assessment tools are very well developed, with very strong driver behaviour research people involved in them, and they are very much for novice drivers as well, because if you state your age and your experience, then the level of risk that is the outcome is ultimately based around that. So there are a number of very, very comprehensive tools, and I would recommend you certainly look at interactive driving systems as a great starting point for that.
Okay, and I have one more question for Jua. One of our participants has asked for your comments on the Hermes project, if you are aware of it and if you have any comments about it. I think
François, the floor is yours.
If you can.
You are. You can. Well, we will ask you again the question because we couldn't hear you. Just a second. Can you
I'll repeat the question for you, Jean. And what do you think of the Hermes project, and if you have any comments about it? Thank you. Okay, then you can.
Okay, well, apparently there is a small technical problem, but we will make sure that the answer will be written and send out to all the participants. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, all of you. We were almost 50 people following this very challenging exercise of online webinar. Obviously, we will send an email to all participants with the details for the last webinar that will be on road safety in the media. So how can we communicate on road safety? How can road safety messages can be communicated to both decision makers, but also for road users? We will have experts, but also communication experts that have a number of communication campaigns. I would like also to take the opportunity to ask for any feedback on this exercise. That's quite new for us also. So we will upload all the presentations on the website of the European Road Safety Charter. As I told you, you can have a look at the website of DG Move to get an update on all the different European road safety projects touching and affecting training programs, but also on all other aspects that have been discussed during these two webinars. And obviously all the presentation will be online, as well as the PRAISE project on our website. Thank you very much for following us, and we will soon be online with us. Thank you. Bye.